Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems that shape our world. Today, we're doing a mini explainer on anarchism. Now, it's a term that gets thrown around a lot and is often really misunderstood. But if we look closer, it's actually a pretty powerful critique of how authority and power are structured. So let's dive in.
First things first, we've got to tackle the biggest misconception right out of the gate. When most of us hear the word anarchism, our minds usually jump to images of chaos, violence, basically a total breakdown of society. It's almost synonymous with disorder. But here's the thing, that popular image kind of misses the whole point. At its core, anarchism isn't about getting rid of organization. It's a theory about organization. It's a completely different way of thinking about how we can structure our world. So, if it's not chaos, then what is it? Let's get a clear structural definition on the table. Fundamentally, anarchy means the absence of rulers, not the absence of rules. It's a political philosophy that's built on ideas like voluntary cooperation, direct action, and mutual aid. The whole premise is that people are perfectly capable of organizing themselves without needing a centralized, top-down authority or state control. And that leads us to a really crucial distinction in anarchist thought, the difference between authority and organization. They are not the same thing. This quote really nails it. Anarchist thinking draws a sharp line between power, which is the actual ability to do things, like the workers performing labor, and authority, which is the right to command others, like a boss telling people what to do. And you can see that comparison laid out here. The critique isn't against organization itself. It's aimed specifically at authority that's coercive and hierarchical. Instead, anarchism suggests that organization can be totally voluntary, it can be horizontal, and it can be based on consensus and free association.
Okay, so where do we actually see these ideas play out? Well, funny enough, it's often during a crisis. This whole framework helps explain why these principles of self-organization tend to pop up when centralized systems start to fail.
Think about it. During a major crisis, like right after a natural disaster, official institutions can get overwhelmed. And what happens? Neighbors start organizing themselves. Communities form these impromptu networks based on mutual aid, just to make sure everyone's needs get met. Yeah, that feeling, that sense that our big centralized systems are fragile, that's often what pushes people to experiment with more decentralized, community-based ways of doing things. So beyond all the theory and the crisis response, this perspective really just gives us a practical lens to analyze power and legitimacy in our everyday lives. It encourages us to look around and examine the systems we're a part of, which ones rely on force and top-down command, and which ones are based on our voluntary consent and participation. And once you start looking through this lens, you begin to notice that many of our daily interactions are already guided by these principles. Every time we reach a compromise with a friend, or make a voluntary arrangement, or just work together in a group, that's it in action. So the crucial takeaway here is that anarchy and hierarchy aren't just these abstract ideas out there. They actually coexist in our relationships all the time. This perspective shows us that our social world isn't some fixed thing. It's something we are constantly shaping through our actions and choices. This project is free and publicly accessible. If you'd like to support the time, tools, and research behind Crisis in Perception, you can become a supporter on Patreon. For a longer audio-based analysis of this topic, see the deep dive linked in the description. And if you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with topics you'd like us to explore next.